So this is about King Ashwapati's experience in the realms of life as he tries to find out what is this life? What is it about? How does it work? It is all very, very mysterious and strange. So I'll read on from there. Page 190, line 640. A comrade of silence on her austere heights, accepted by her mighty loneliness. He stood with her on meditating peaks, where life and being are a sacrament offered to the reality beyond, and saw her loose into infinity, her hooded eagles of significance, messengers of thought to the unknowable. Identified in soul vision and soul sense, entering into her depths as into a house, all he became that she was or longed to be. He thought with her thoughts and journeyed with her steps, lived with her breath and scanned all with her eyes, that so he might learn the secret of her soul. A witness overmastered by his scene, he admired her splendid front of pomp and play and the marvels of her rich and delicate craft, and thrilled to the insistence of her cry. Impassioned, he bore the sorceries of her might, felt laid on him her abrupt, mysterious will, her hands that need fate in their violent grasp, her touch that moves, her powers that seize and drive. But this too he saw, her soul that wept within, her seekings vain that clutch at fleeing truth, her hopes whose somber gaze mates with despair, the passion that possessed her longing limbs, the trouble and rapture of her yearning breasts, her mind that toils unsatisfied with its fruits, her heart that captures not the one beloved. Always he met a veiled and seeking force, an exiled goddess building mimic heavens, a sphinx whose eyes look up to a hidden sun. If we look back to the beginning of this section on page 188 at the break, we see that Aswapati is described as a hunter following in life's fine and mighty trails. It's if he's tracking an animal, following the signs that will show him where the animal has gone and why. So similarly, Aswapati is trying to understand the mysteries of life. So he's found many fascinating and mysterious things, but still she's like a sphinx. She's presenting questions that can't be answered. Will you start, Prema? Yes. Line 640.
The tolerate of silence conquered a street fight. Accepted by her mighty loneliness, he stood with her on dedicating peace, where life and being audience second, offered to the reality beyond, and saw her loose into infinity, where cooler eagles of significance, messengers of thought beyond order.
Thank you. So this is one of his experiences of life, that he's as if he's accepted as a comrade, as a friend, by a power of silence. And our silence dwells on the austere heights like the peaks of the Himalayas. There he is accepted by the mighty loneliness of life in her silent mood. He stands with life on those meditating peaks where life and being, existence, are a sacrament, a sacred ceremony, and that sacred offering to a reality which is beyond the highest that can be reached, no? Above those highest heights. And there, as if on the tops of the highest mountains, he sees her loose into infinity, her hooded eagles of significance. There are countries, I think in the country of Kazakhstan, it is a national sport to, for the young men, they catch baby eagles, or they take them from the mother in the nest, and they train them. They train them and they go hunting with these eagles. So when they are keeping them, they carry them on their arm. There's a special harness here, and the eagles are hooded. They have something over their eyes, a kind of little leather hat, so that they can't see. Only when they want them to hunt some prey, then they take off the hood and they send out the eagle, and it will go and catch a rabbit or something like that and bring it back to the master. So when people are hunting with eagles, using eagles for hunting, they loose them, they let them go. They fly away and then they will come back or so. So it's an image like that, and of course an eagle is a big powerful bird to control. And it can fly very high. It's supposed to have an incredible power of vision. So he sees life, as it were, letting loose these eagles to go hunting. But these are eagles of significance. They have meanings. They have some message which they are conveying. He says that these are messengers of thought to the unknowable. It means they're going beyond the realm of mind into the far high distance to the unknowable, that which never can be known. Kamla.
Identified in soul, vision, and soul sense, entering into her gift as into your house. All he became that he was, or longed to be. He thought with her thoughts and journeyed with her steps, lived with her breath and scanned all with her eyes, that so he might learn the secret of her soul.
This is what he wants to do, to learn the secret of the soul of life. What is this power? So he is able to identify with the life power or the life force. He identifies with his soul vision and his soul sense, what can feel. And it's as if he goes deep in to the depths of life, as if he's entering a house and exploring the different rooms. And with that power of identification, he became everything that life was or wants to be. He became all he became that she was, or what she longed to be. He's identified with the life power. He thought with her thoughts and journeyed with her steps, lived with her breath and scanned all with her eyes. And he's doing all this so that he might learn the secret of her soul, the soul of life. Joel.
A witness overmastered by his sin, he admired her splendid front of pomp and play, and the marvels of her rich and delicate craft, and thrilled to the insistence of her pride. Impassioned, he bore the sorceries of her might, felt laid on him her abrupt, mysterious will, her hands that net fate in their violent grasp, her touch that moves, her powers that seize and drive.
Yes. So he was identified, we read about that, but he's also there as a witness, observing, seeing. But what he's seeing is so rich and so amazing, he's overmastered, he's overcome by what he sees. He's full of admiration for her splendid front, her appearance of pomp, all the richness of her play, her actions, her possibilities. He's admiring all the wonderful things, the marvels of her rich and delicate craft. all the wonderful things that she makes. And he thrills to the insistence of her cry. Whatever it is she's calling for, it thrills him. He feels an intense passion. He's impassioned, and he has to bear the intensity of the sorceries of her might. Her power is magical. It can do enchantments, things that seem impossible. He feels that the will of life imposes something on him. Her abrupt, mysterious will, he feels that laid on him, making him act, making him do things. And he feels the touch of her hands that need fate in their violent grasp. This word need, beginning with a K, need, it's what bakers do with their bread. We mix together the dough, and we have to mix it and mix it and mix it and mix it quite violently. And then we let it rise up, and then again we have to pummel it and push it. And so in one of Mother's talks about Matrimandia, she says that's what she's doing with us people in Auroville. She says, I keep kneading. Let's see what happens. Working on it like bread. And the baker has to keep working quite violently in order to get everything mixed up properly. Otherwise the bread won't be good.
To Huka also Mother said the same thing. To Huka also Mother said the same thing.
Kneading.
Mother uses.
Yes.
But why it's violently? Why they have to be violent?
Yeah, somehow you have to put energy into that bread, no?
Instead of violence, they could put their energy. It would be nice, no?
Yes, one of the characteristics of bread making, you can't just stir it like this. You have to put a lot of force in. He felt her touch that moves him, and her powers that seize hold of you and drive you, force you to go where she wants. So all these experiences he's having. But then there's one very special experience. You read, dear. Yeah.
But this feeling is her soul that lived within, her seeking way that love and feeling true, her thoughts close,
Somber.
𝒂𝒊𝒔𝒆𝒏𝒄 disappear. The ocean,
The passion
that possessed her longing land, that trouble and the terror of her heavenly blessings, her mind that calls
unsatisfied.
with its fruits, her heart that catches of the one love, always innate, a wide and seeking force, and is it goodness,
Goddess.
building, heavens,
A sphinx.
whose eyes look up to the hidden side.
Yes. So he sees too. She has all these powers. She can do so much. But he sees that she's not satisfied, that she's suffering within. Her soul is weeping within. Because all her seekings are in vain. She's clutching at some truth, at some reality, but it's always running away from her. She can't seize what it is. She has such hopes, but the eyes, her eyes that are so full of hope, they're also dark because she thinks those hopes are not going to be fulfilled. Her hopes made with despair, how can they be fulfilled? And there's this intense feeling which is possessing her. It's like the feeling of passion, the trouble and rapture of her yearning breasts. She's longing for the embrace of something that doesn't come. There's her mind that goes on toiling, working hard, but it's never satisfied with what it gives birth to. Above all, because her heart is not able to capture and possess the one beloved being, the Lord. So wherever 𝒔𝒊𝒈 looks at life, whatever aspect he studies of her, he's always meeting this force which is veiled, half hidden, and also seeking, dissatisfied. She's a goddess. She's been exiled from her native paradise. We read about it in Canto 3, that realm of endless bliss, which is her true home. But she's been exiled from there to come into this earth existence. But she's always trying to recreate the heavens that are her home. So she's building mimic heavens. Exiles do this. They try to recreate the beautiful homes that they came from and that they are missing. So he says, 𝒔𝒊𝒈 sees her as a sphinx whose eyes are looking up to a hidden sun, a sun which she can't see. Sri Aurobindo refers to this being the Sphinx in 3 or 4 places in the poem. You might have a picture in your mind of the Sphinx. We think of the sphinxes that are there guarding the pyramids in Egypt. They are like crouching lions, but they have the heads of human beings. That's one form of the Sphinx. But there's the significance of the Sphinx is revealed in an ancient tale from Greece, not from Egypt, from Greece. That Sphinx is a being. She has the body of a lion, she has the wings of a great bird, and the claws of an eagle, the strong, destructive claws of an eagle. Often a woman's body, the upper part. We think of her as she, the Sphinx, a female figure. She's a symbolic figure, and her role is to test our knowledge, if we are seeking for the truth, we are sure to meet her on our way. At some point, she will stop us and ask her question. And you have to be able to answer her question. Otherwise, you won't be able to go further. She asks you a question. And it's an existential question. It's a question that you really have to answer if you want to survive and continue on your way. This being appears in ancient Greek mythology. And there two versions are given of her question. One version is that she asks, what is that being who walks on 4 legs in the morning, on 2 legs in the noonday, and on 3 legs in the evening? Any of you know the answer? It's a human being. No? When we are small, we crawl on 4 legs. When we stand up, we can walk on 2 legs. And in the evening, in our old age, we may need a stick, a 3rd leg to help us. So what does it mean? It means that the answer to the question of the Sphinx is a human being. Maybe it's even myself. I am that one who walked on 4 legs and 2 and will walk on 3 legs. That's important to know, that the answer to the real existential question, it's in yourself. There's another version of her question. She says, who are those 2 sisters, each of whom gives birth to the other?
Day and night.
Day and night. Day and night. Okay. So that's also an important thing to know about our life, that it's a life of duality. And if there's darkness, it's going to give birth to light. And if there's light, it's going to give birth to darkness. But this alternation always goes on. So if you have these 2 answers, definitely it will help you on your spiritual quest. If you have this knowledge. So, but here, the Sphinx seems to be questioning something above, no? She's looking up to a hidden sun. There's a sun of truth, the sun of supreme truth, the divine presence. But it's hidden from her. She can't see that sun. She's not getting the answer. That is how Asvapati sees life at this point in his quest. The next section is quite long, but we can start it. Ganga Lakshmi.
Ever he felt me the spirit in your form. Its passive presence was a nature's friend. His soul is wrapped in abundant things. Even upon earth, the spirit is light. When the sun outside, nowhere there is trace.
A trace, it's trace.
stand on her hearts is undiscoverable. The pathos of lost eyes is its appeal.
Its appeal, yes. So, what does this mean? 𝒔𝒊𝒈 is always feeling in his quest that in the forms of life, or behind the forms of life, there's a spirit. And that spirit is passive. It's not actually doing anything. It's just there, upholding perhaps. That is the strength of the nature of life. And he realizes that only this spirit is real in all the apparent things, all the appearances that life shows to us. And that's not only true in the kingdom of life, in the realm of life, it's true upon earth too. Even upon earth, the spirit is the key to everything, to the mystery. But the solid outlines of the life that we experience, we can't see the presence of that spirit. There's no trace of that spirit in everything that we see. That spirit leaves its stamp, its mark on life and the happenings of life, but to us it's undiscoverable. We can't find it. There's something appealing to us. The appeal of life. What is it due to? He says it's due to a pathos, a sadness, a regret of lost heights. Those lost heights that life has left in order to come here. Who's next? Alexander, will you read?
Only sometimes it's called a shadowy line that seems the hint of vague reality. Life stared at him with vague, confused outlines, offering a picture that eyes could not keep. A story that was yet not written there. As in a fragmentary, half-lost design, life repeats, fled from the personal mind. Life's visage hides life's real self from sight. Life's secret sense is written within, above.
Right. So, this is what he's seeing. Only sometimes he catches a little hint, a shadowy line that seems like a hint of something that's real, but it's veiled, it can't be seen, it can't be grasped. And when he looks at life, it's as if she's staring back at him with vague, confused outlines, offering a picture the eyes couldn't keep. You might think that you see something, but then it changes. A story that was yet not written there. There is a story, but that story hasn't been written and shared with us. So, there's a design. Perhaps it's been painted on a wall, but half of it has been lost. What you can see there on the wall is only fragmentary, only part of it. So it's like that. He's looking at something, there's a design, but so much of it is missing. So life is like that. What it means, its significance, it's always running away from us when we try to see and catch. What does it mean? Life's visage, the face, the visible face of life, hides life's real self from sight. It's as if life is wearing a mask, that what we can see doesn't give us the real picture. Life's secret sense, its secret meaning, is written within, in the depths, and above, in the heights. Will you read?
The thought that is a sense used that God is not seen in a small niche design. Then he told you to read the feelings sing or find the word of the all-playing child.
You know this word charade? It's a game we used to play as children at birthday parties. A charade. You have to divide the people up into teams, and then they have to take turns in they decide on a word that has several syllables. Catastrophe, for example. And then they split the word up into the syllables, and they devise a little play, a little theatre. And they act out each of the syllables in turn. And the other team has to guess what is their word. Did you ever play that game when you were kids? No? Nobody ever? So anyway, that's a charade. It's a word, a secret word, that's presented to you bit by bit. And you have to be very clever to make out, first of all, each of the bits, and then what word they make when you put them together. You have it, yes? Yes? What does it mean? You have to mime it, yes. Okay, yes.
It is not split into syllables. For one word we have to...
No, first of all you do each of the syllables separately, and then you do the whole word together.
We will do like that.
So that's a charade. So if that charade is only half played, naturally it's very difficult to find the word. How can you find the word of the half-played charade? You haven't got all the clues. Only in that greater life, there's a cryptic, mysterious thought is found that gives a hint of some interpreting word, some word that's got a power of explanation that makes the earth myth a tale intelligible, which seems to give a meaning to this myth, to this story of life on earth. Would you read? Something was seen.
Something was seen at last that looked like truth. In a half-lit air of Azar's mystery, the eye that looks in the dark half of truth, made out of an image, mid a vivid blur, and carried through a mist of subtle tints. He saw a half-blind shade divinity, bewildered by the world in which he moved, light prompting his soul.
Thank you. So who is this? 𝒔𝒊𝒏, at last he sees something that begins to look like truth, something in life. It's in a half-lit air, a kind of twilight of hazardous mystery. It's even dangerous, it's risky. The eye that looks at the dark half of truth. Can discern, it can make out an image. There is some kind of an image, a form. He sees it appearing through a vivid blur. A blur is like a cloud. You can't see clear outlines. But there's some bright coloring to that blur. He peers. 𝒔𝒊𝒏 has to, with difficulty, look through a mist of subtle tints, subtle colors, cloudy colors. And there he sees a half-blind, chained divinity. It's as if he's in prison, this divinity. A half-blind, chained divinity, bewildered by the world in which he moved, yet conscious of some light prompting his soul. Who is this? Well, here Sri Aurobindo's not telling us exactly who this half-blind, chained divinity is. It's a being with consciousness, moving in this realm of life, bewildered, puzzled by it, and yet conscious of some light of knowledge, prompting, encouraging and giving advice to his soul. Will you read? Fluting. Pageantries. Yes. So I don't know who is this half-blind, chained divinity. Perhaps it's the Purusha in this world. He's attracted to far-off shimmerings, uncertain lights, and he is led, he can hear as if we would hear Sri Krishna's flute, the flutings of a distant player. So you try to follow, but the flute leads you off in different directions. So that divinity is looking for his way amid the laughter and call of life, and the index chaos of her myriad steps. It's as if life is going this way and that way and the other way, and you try to follow her. You think those footsteps of hers are indications, but they are just confusing, chaotic. But he's trying to follow her towards some total, deep infinitude, some vastness that is in a way complete. So around, it's as if he's in a forest. The forest is a traditional symbol of life and the way you get lost in life, all the misleading signals that life gives you. Around, crowded the forest of life's signs. And at hazard, he thinks, oh, I'll just try this way or that way. He read by arrow leaps of thought. He thinks, I'll go this way. Maybe this will work. No? Sometimes they are right. They hit the mark by guess or by luminous chance, just by luck. And he's following her life's changing, colored road lights of idea. There's an indication, go this way, this way. This one's showing yellow, this one's showing orange. Her signals of uncertain, swift event. This has happened. Respond like this. And the hieroglyphs of her symbol pageantries. Hieroglyphs are a special kind of writing. You have to be an initiate. You have to have been given special teaching in order to be able to read them, that writing. And this writing is appearing through life's symbol pageantries, these wonderful displays that she puts on, which are symbolic, but it's very difficult for us to read the symbolism. No? And she does leave some landmarks, some indications in the tangled paths of time, as if you're moving through a forest and here and there there's a signpost, perhaps.
Very much like a human being.
This is a kind of description of our life, the confusing way life treats us.
Yes.
And if, like 𝒔𝒐𝒏, we're trying to get to the soul of it, it can be very bewildering. Seems can't do it, no? We can't trace it out. And later on, he tries to escape, to get out of this tangled maze. He can't do it. So, anyway, we'll stop there for today. A comrade of silence on her austere heights, accepted by her mighty loneliness, he stood with her on meditating peaks, where life and being are a sacrament offered to the reality beyond. and saw her loose into infinity her hooded eagles of significance, messengers of thought to the unknowable. Identified in soul vision and soul sense, entering into her depths as into a house, all he became that she was or longed to be. He thought with her thoughts and journeyed with her steps, lived with her breath, and scanned all with her eyes, that so he might learn the secret of her soul. A witness, overmastered by his scene, he admired her splendid front of pomp and play, and the marvels of her rich and delicate craft, and thrilled to the insistence of her cry. Impassioned he bore the sorceries of her might, felt laid on him her abrupt, mysterious will, her hands that need fate in their violent grasp, her touch that moves, her powers that seize and drive. But this too he saw, her soul that wept within, her seekings vain that clutch at fleeing truth, her hopes whose sombre gaze mates with despair, the passion that possessed her longing limbs, the trouble and rapture of her yearning breasts, her mind that toils unsatisfied with its fruits, her heart that captures not the one beloved. Always he met a veiled and seeking force, an exiled goddess building mimic heavens, a sphinx whose eyes look up to a hidden sun. Ever he felt near a spirit in her forms. Its passive presence was her nature's strength. This soul is real in apparent things. Even upon earth the spirit is life's key. But her solid outsides nowhere bear its trace. Its stamp on her acts is undiscoverable. A pathos of lost heights is its appeal. Only sometimes is caught a shadowy line that seems a hint of veiled reality. Life stared at him with vague, confused outlines. offering a picture the eyes could not keep, a story that was yet not written there. As in a fragmentary, half-lost design, life's meanings fled from the pursuing eye. Life's visage hides life's real self from sight. Life's secret sense is written within, above. The thought that gives it sense lives far beyond. It is not seen in its half-finished design. In vain we hope to read the baffling signs, or find the word of the half-played charade. Only in that greater life a cryptic thought is found, is hinted some interpreting word that makes the earth myth a tale intelligible. Something was seen at last that looked like truth. In a half-lit air of hazardous mystery, the eye that looks at the dark half of truth made out an image mid a vivid blur, and peering through a mist of subtle tints, he saw a half-blind, chained divinity, bewildered by the world in which he moved, yet conscious of some light prompting his soul. Attracted to strange far-off shimmerings, led by the fluting of a distant player, he sought his way amid life's laughter and call, and the index chaos of her myriad steps, towards some total deep infinitude. Around crowded the forest of her signs. At hazard he read, by arrow leaps of thought, that hit the mark by guess or luminous chance. Her changing coloured road lights of idea, and her signals of uncertain swift event, the hieroglyphs of her symbol pageantries, and her landmarks in the tangled paths of time.